Nicole dives deeper into forbidden records, neurological collapse, lies buried in disclaimers, and warnings about what happens when the Matosba starve. But nothing prepares her for how clearly lot number 47 already knows everything.
Episode 4. Reading Thoughts. Nicole arrived at Solynic the next evening, exhaustion creeping into her bones. The corridors hummed with a low fluorescent buzz as she signed in at the main station. The scent of antiseptic and sterile plastic coated the air, familiar and oppressive. She lingered in the observation wing, staring through the thick glass into the containment room. Lot number 47 sat on the floor inside his cell, ankles crossed, posture eerily relaxed. His steel-gray eyes found her instantly, as though he'd been waiting. For a moment she nearly raised her hand in greeting. Instead, she forced herself to turn away, and she barely made it 5 steps before the comm buzzed against her hip. "Evans," the voice said. She answered briskly. "Yes, Director." "Come to the private comm room." She pushed through a side door and entered a small booth where the glass door sealed behind her with a hiss. A single monitor flickered to life. Director Chen's face appeared, only from the shoulders up, sharp-suited, shadows cutting across his cheekbones. "You're hesitating," he said flatly. She felt her chest tighten. "Sir, I'm following protocol." He cut her off. "I need you to remember something, Evans. Before you worked at Solynic, a demon broke free during routine blood extraction. 2 technicians died. The creature tore out their throats in under 10 seconds. She felt bile rise in her throat. He continued. "They're wired to feed. You must never forget what they are. And never believe what they say. They're masters of manipulation." She nodded. "Understood. Good." He leaned closer to the camera. "I'm authorizing you to begin prepping lot number 47 for more blood draws. Keep contact minimal. No conversation beyond medical necessity. Am I clear?" "Yes, sir." "Don't make me question your judgment, Evans. You're better than that." The screen went black. She stepped back into the observation room, heart thudding. Lot number 47 hadn't moved. His gaze tracked her as she approached the glass. She keyed in the security code, and shortly after, the door slid open with a soft hydraulic sigh. Lot number 47 tilted his head. "Rough day?" She bristled. "No conversation. Sit still." He lifted his hands obediently and settled back into the chair bolted to the floor. The heavy chains rattled faintly as they shifted over his wrists. A new voice spoke from the door. Dr. Liang entered quietly, holding a tablet. She glanced at Nicole, then at lot number 47. "Evans, take his vitals and start another panel for immune response. Chen wants everything documented. And remember, minimal engagement." She shot lot number 47 a wary look. "We don't need another incident." Lot number 47 watched Dr. Liang with faint amusement. "You never look me in the eye, Doctor." Dr. Liang ignored him and disappeared back through the door. Nicole strapped sensors to his wrist and neck. Lot number 47's voice was quiet. "Your shoulders are heavy tonight. Guilt sits on them like a second uniform." "Stop talking!" she snapped. A small, almost apologetic smile curved his mouth. "You don't have to be cruel just because they tell you to be." He studied her, eyes calm and strangely gentle. "Does it ever bother you that you're kinder than the work you do?" She hesitated, fingers stilling on a strap. "I'm just doing my job." Lot number 47 leaned slightly closer, voice barely a whisper. "And what happens when your job becomes the monster?" She jerked back, stepping away so abruptly that her clipboard fell and clattered across the floor. "This conversation is over." She knelt to scoop it up, refusing to look at him. As she rose, lot number 47 tilted his head and murmured, "Nicole." She froze, her fingers tightening on the clipboard. "How do you know my name? I never told you that." Lot number 47 regarded her steadily. "My kind, we can read the surface of human thoughts. Feel the shapes of names, faces, truths you try to bury. A cold shiver crawled up her spine. Stay out of my head. He smiled faintly. I can't help it sometimes. Do you want me to show you? No, she said quickly, but he was already looking at her with an intensity that made her chest tighten. A tingling sensation bloomed inside her skull, delicate and electric. Images flickered behind her eyes, fragments of half-forgotten memories. She felt herself standing in a cramped classroom, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, long nights spent hunched over textbooks, disappointment when job after job slipped away, a lonely evening scrolling job postings online, the relief and confusion when she'd seen Solynic's vague ad promising competitive salary and purpose-driven work. She gasped, stumbling backward. Stop it! Lot number 47's voice was soft, almost tender. You went to nursing school because you wanted to help people. When the hospitals wouldn't hire you, you settled for this place. You tell yourself it's just medicine, just science. But part of you wonders if you've become the monster instead. Her pulse thudded wildly in her ears. You want to help people, Nicole. That is why you became a nurse. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Lot number 47 held her gaze. Pretending not to care is easier than hoping for mercy. She stared at him for a long moment, trembling, then spun on her heel and fled the room. Hours later, just after her shift ended, she lingered outside his cell, staring through the glass. Lot number 47 sat exactly where she'd left him, his eyes following her every move. For a brief moment, he pressed his palm against the glass. She hesitated, then slowly lifted her own hand, hovering an inch away from his. But before it met the glass, she yanked her hand back. She turned and left abruptly as his voice still echoed in her mind. Does it ever bother you that you're kinder than the work you do? Yes, it bothered her. It bothered her immensely.
The lies are unraveling, and the cage no longer feels secure. Nicole isn't sure who the real monster is, or if she's becoming one of them.